my top 3 booty building exercises that do not include the hip thrust. My name is Adam, proud father, married to an amazing woman, fitness enthusiast, registered physical therapist. This channel is dedicated to those busy parents trying to figure out how to perform at their best in this crazy game of life. The information in this video was intended for educational purposes only. Welcome back, everyone. Once again, my name is Adam Chang, and this is Mobility Mindset. This is our final installment of the Better Butt series. Today, we're going to talk about compound movements. Compound movements are exercises or movements that require multiple joints and, once again, a synergy of muscles. So when we do a compound movement such as a squat, a lunge, or a hinge or a deadlift, we will be using multiple muscles to complete this movement. However, we can bias the hip extensors, or what we call the gluteus maximus. The gluteus maximus is the bigger muscle of the three. The gluteus minimus, medius, and maximus make up the booty. Now, I'm not going to include the hip thrust in this video. The hip thrust has been popularized by Dr. Brett Contreras, who considers himself the glute guy, and he has the glute lab, and he works on a lot of physique and figure models that want to accentuate the buttocks. Now, he invented the barbell hip thrust. He also utilizes squats, hinges, deadlifts, lunges, split squats, etc. So it's important to tackle this from every angle. And I'm going to give you my top 3 booty building exercises that do not include the hip thrust. Exercise number 1, as you could probably guess, is the squat. If you are intermediate or advanced and had some coaching on this, the barbell back squat requires a lot of mobility and practice. So you don't want to start with heavy weight, and if you're a beginner, this may not be the best exercise to build your glutes, because the reality is you are probably quad dominant and you will really maximize the usage of your quads. If we wanted to build up to the barbell back squat, we can start with a simple bodyweight squat. We can do even a box squat where you squat down to a box or a bench, you sit, and then you get up. We also call this a sit to stand. You can progress that to a touch and go box squat where you're just touching down and coming back up. You can hold a weight in your hand, and we call this a goblet squat. So utilizing a kettlebell or a dumbbell right in front of you at your chest. Now, if you want to maximize the usage of your glutes, you have to do more of a hip dominant or a hip strategy of movement. If our center of mass is around our solar plex area, then if we wanted to use the muscles around the knees, so the quads, then we would want to keep our trunk more upright and away from our knees. This will create more of a quad dominant squat or lunge. If we wanted to shift that more to the hip musculature, then we want to move that center of mass forward over the knees, away from the hips. If we wanted to do a hip dominant squat, it would look more like this, where I am leaning forward, sticking my butt out behind me as if I'm going to sit on a chair that is behind me. This is very important to note because most people try to stay upright when they squat. And staying upright when you squat will focus more on the quads, which is not bad because we would like to develop our quads as well. And the strength in all the muscles of our limbs is very important. So this just means that you can do one exercise but target more specific muscles. So you can do half of your squats with a knee strategy, you can do half of your squats with a hip strategy, or you can just stay right in the middle, and based on your anatomy, you will utilize whichever muscles are advantageous for you. Now, moving on to my second favorite glute building exercise is the hinge or the Romanian deadlift. In this exercise, we are hinging at our hips. So once again, our center of mass is coming way forward, and we have to make sure that we maintain our spine and our pelvis in a neutral position. We talked about this in the previous episode. Keeping our spine and our pelvis stable as we hinge. I always think of like there's this big red button behind you, and you're trying to reach back with your buttocks to smash that button. Or if you're holding something in your hands, but you have to shut a drawer, what are you going to do? Either you're going to walk back into it, or you're going to stick your butt out, lean forward, and close that drawer. This is typically how I teach the hinge pattern. The hinge pattern is often difficult because people don't really know how to dissociate one area from another in the body. So you'll get like multiple areas moving at once. This is a topic for another episode, movement dissociations. So the hinge is great because you can load it pretty high. You have to have that good strength and stability in your spine and pelvis if you really want to load this movement and feel it in the right areas. So we start with a lighter weight, and then we can build up slowly. The third exercise, which to me is the ultimate, is the split squat. Now we can do this like a Bulgarian split squat where your rear foot is elevated. You are not meant to put too much weight through that back leg. Most of your weight should be on your front leg. And once again, if we're doing this movement, split squat, we want to be leaning forward with our trunk pretty straight, but hinging at your hip. Just like the split squat, we have the reverse lunge. I put these both in the same category because they feel pretty much the same. The reverse lunge is you're stepping back, or sometimes we call it the back step lunge. This is also great, and we can bias either the hips, the quads, or we can go in between. So these are the exercises that I like to prescribe for people when they're trying to develop their glutes. But sometimes you got to start from the beginning. Make sure you have the mobility, make sure you have the core stability to stabilize your pelvis and your spine. Then make sure you can activate, and then you can move on to the compound lifts. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, hit the like button, drop a comment, and please subscribe. Share this with anybody, family or friends that you think can benefit. Till next time, Adam Chang signing off.